Well, good morning, everybody, and welcome to the first regional championships of the post-rotation format here in Europe. I'm Connor Hayward, part of the Limitless team now to bring you the commentary, and I'm joined by one of our guests, Joe Yates.
I'm Joe Yates. Thank you so much for having me on stream today, and yeah, I look forward to a great day of Pokemon.
Well, so unfortunately, the start to this day is a little bit delayed. There's some issue, I think, with the Wi-Fi connection for the staff, so it should be about 20 minutes before play starts. So we have a bit of time now to kind of discuss where we think the format is, what we think we'd be playing today, how we've reached this point. So we've only had, 4 major tournaments so far. We started in Australia.
This is the first European one as well.
So, Europe always has this love affair with Zoroark.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Like, every time you turn up to a European event, you're like, right, Zoroark is going to be played in large numbers, whether that be rock or pod or anything in between.
Whatever you feel like on the day sometimes.
Yeah, there's an awful lot going on, and if we can do things along those lines, it's what we expect to see a lot of. But whether that's necessarily where the format is a different question. We saw a beginning of format in Australia. That was dominated by Weavile. Yeah. Right? That was, okay, the time kind of in the format, everyone was like, it's a slow format. We lose bridge here. We lose a lot of really good supporters. And there's a problem of how do we keep speed up? Yeah. And everyone like, well, just play Ray.
Well, that's the thing. I think people also naturally flock to Ray as well because mid to late game consistency isn't as important with the Ray as well as it is with a lot of other decks. I mean, once you get the Vault into play, once you get the Rays down on the board, you've got your energy, your board set up, and I mean, you can keep going from there. And Lily for 8's really strong in that deck. There's a lot of combos that you can still play in that deck post-rotation.
Well, so actually, one of the really interesting things about Weavile was it basically used the Kikabulu engine. The engine that he was using all through his Vikabulu. Peter Kicker was playing this for basically all of last season.
And now we're proving him right.
Because basically his engine was basically post-rotation proof. I want to say there were very few cards in there that were.
It was close to it anyway.
There were a few float stones and things, but for the most part, the engine was ready to go. Yeah. And that just meant that in terms of perfecting lists, we didn't need to. You basically just took out the Boolus, put in Ray, and went, this is probably
this
better,
does more
right?
damage. That's
this is fine. Yeah. So that was basically where that started. Yeah. And as a result, we had a really GX heavy format.
And I will say as well, that's also why I think a lot of players, initially people were talking about Metagross as well as something. You look at old Metagross lists from last format as well, they're almost identical to the Metagross lists that people were playing at the start of the season here as well. You could have been a Sycamore, some people did that anyway. It never needed to play Floatstone in the first place.
Well, that's always a tricky thing. When you go into a post-rotation format, you're not looking just to find the new ideas that work because of the cards that you lose. Empoleon being a really good example of that, actually.
Exactly.
But the other way you have to do it is you have to refine the list. And that is not a quick process. This is what if you ask any of the the Limitless guys, they will come up with a deck idea and they will spend their weeks of testing and not picking the deck. They are going, but if I play an extra copy of Lily instead of this, maybe I win more. And that's kind of how they approach the game.
And especially with the last couple sets coming in, we've got a lot of draw supporters now that aren't quite as good or as popular as Sycamore was. So other people are trying to find which one's the best, which one works for different kind of engines and different kind of decks. So some decks might run one copy of Tate and Liza. Yeah. Some weird stuff like that.
Yeah, it's where can we get the most variety from some of the cards. And then what we saw though as a reaction to the Ray was Bulu in South American. It was Brazil, I believe.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's where we saw the big things for.
Well, that's where we saw shrine decks as well.
Yeah, exactly. So this is where but this is it. Everyone, okay, well, we're clearly playing a heavy GX format because we can still hit numbers, the engines are consistent. So, Shrine.
Yeah, and on top of that as well, you play Garbodor in that deck and Ray discards a lot of items, just naturally.
Exactly. And so everyone just went, okay, so now we can really easily kind of work into what we have to hit. And that's where it then moved. Brazil was kind of a reaction to Vika Ray.
Well, that's how a meta develops in a nutshell, really.
Yeah,
and that's just the part we're in at post-rotation. And that's what a lot of post-rotations are like. It's a bit awkward. People stick to save lists and stuff like that. And then it just develops over time like that. And we're at a kind of cool point now. So that's why I think this tournament might be particularly interesting.
Well, so we've definitely started to stabilize. We saw in the States, we saw a lot of Buzzwole, the non-GX Buzzwole list. We saw Zoroarks. We saw kind of a few other things crop up. Vika Ray. There was an Empoleon that made top 30, top day 2. But I'm not entirely sure we're going to see a repeat performance from that deck, but you never mind.
I mean, it can hit pretty big numbers. Its consistency, I think, is probably its biggest issue. Compared to other stage 2 decks.
So I've just been told. Tinansky, so that's Travis, is now hosting us for 19 viewers. So thanks, man. Really appreciate it. And we've also been told that maybe we do get a big day 2 because we have been told that there's about at 9 o'clock when registration was still open, where there was around 530 TCG players already registered.
That is an awful lot of players. Yeah.
So maybe we do wind up with a very bizarre looking day 2 with a few extra rounds.
Exactly.
So, yeah, no, we're going to be in a kind of interesting place in this format because we're starting to stabilise. We're starting to get to the point where people go, okay, Buzz is good. Zoroark is still good.
Figure 8 is still a thing.
Yeah, but then there's like, which Zoroark variant do you play?
Yeah,
because I've seen a lot of people talking this week. Zoroark was the obvious choice, but I saw a few people streaming and testing and discussing Zoropod.
Yeah.
Because, with the Acer Rollers, you can play around with like the Shrine decks a little easier. But you can also do things like you can exploit the fact that Rock is weak to grass because they're playing a field blower to kick the weakness policy.
Yeah.
And it's a really interesting format because there's just a lot of cards that never saw play suddenly being everywhere.
Yeah, and as is the case with Zoroark as well, those aren't even the only options that people have for it. Some people go straight Zoroark, some people have Zoroark with Bonnet, some people have Zoroark with, a bunch of different things. Like even toward the back end of last season when people were playing like Zoroark with like a Alolan Executor and stuff like that, it's only a matter of time as well before we start seeing people throw in weirder text into these lists.
Well, this is always the nice thing with Zoroark, and I think it's one of the reasons why Europe likes Zoroark so much is you have a really consistent engine, you always will, and then you can basically go, okay, what do I expect to see? Let's pick 15 cards to beat it.
Yeah, and then just tech for that.
It's a tricky thing to do, but, it pays off.
Yeah, and they're not always the easiest decks to play either.
No, and so we saw that actually in Worlds, right? So, we have to shout him out. Robin Schulz for winning Worlds. We have to give him some congratulations. And you see what happens when a good player takes a deck like that. Yeah. Because there's so many small decisions over which card you trade.
And of course, Tord Reklev obviously.
Yeah, exactly.
The biggest example of this.
Yeah,
as well.
You have things like where you're looking to trade, and the plan. So we've actually been given total registration.
Big numbers.
Yeah, they are some big numbers. So we have.
Masters.
It's actually slightly less than we were told. It's about 520 masters.
Slightly less, but still like a lot of people. Biggest.
So it's wow. So it's the biggest TCG regional in Europe and VG separately.
And VG.
So this is there's always the hype at the beginning of the season. Everyone's like, I need my points. Let's go and get as many as we can, and this means that we have an awful lot of people turning up.
Yeah, exactly. And just a side note as well, we've been into the venue as well out there, and it's like it can accommodate that number. Like it's a really nice place.
Well, so we also have kind of a nice seating area for like breaks, and so hopefully, even though it's going to be a long 9 rounds, it shouldn't be too bad for a player, I hope.
Exactly.
It's always
being comfortable during that 9 rounds is actually like a big part of being a Pokemon player and learning. Like it's not just playing the game; it's also like being able to have the endurance.
So this is actually something that I had a conversation with Tord a while ago about this, and he said that he always books a slightly nicer hotel because a lot of players when they come are doing it on a budget.
Yeah,
and that's fine, right? If you just want to go to tournaments and experience them, you do it however you can. But Tord's like, yeah, but sometimes I'll pay a little bit more for a slightly nicer hotel. Turn up the day before, I can hit the gym, I can go to the pool, I can just chill. Yeah, and then I turn up on the tournament day feeling really relaxed and calm, and I can just go play some Zoroark.
And clearly it works. Like.
Well, yeah, this is clearly this is actually the secret to winning.
Yeah, it's just the nicest hotel.
Robin, Philip, and a few of the Nico, Pedro, all went to Tord's house for like a big retreat before Worlds. Yeah, I'm guessing there was some, probably some testing going on, but there was probably also some time to just chill and just hang out and just have some fun. Which means that you go in the right mindset.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's one thing that I personally learned from doing a lot of tournaments was just that. My better performances came from when I didn't take it as seriously in my own mind. It was that when I just started relaxing and enjoying my game and playing the cards that I wanted to play and had tested the most.
Yeah, and it's a weird thing. You see players who have their kind of comfort deck. Yeah. So we were talking about Kikabulu. Like that was a deck that he was just like, this is a deck I know how I can play. Cool, let's go.
And I think it's cool. I think it's cool as well that Peter Kika managed to move on from Night March rotating because he was all about that as well.
But this is the thing. It's like you'll see some players pick a deck at the beginning of the season. That is their deck.
Yeah, completely. And Greninja players all over with that. Yeah.
Yes. Even though friends don't let friends play Greninja.
Absolutely.
Don't type Greninja in chat because I think we still have the thing that silent mutes you as well.
That's cool. I like that.
But we have this thing of people will pick a deck and stick to it. And I guess we can probably say who we're probably going to have for round 1. At least one of the people for round 1 will be Robin Schulz. Of course it is, right?
World champion. I mean,
we might as well get the...
Always going to put on a good show.
Yeah, we're going to get him on straight away. And you can see, again, I'm not saying it's a comfort pick, but it is a Zoroark deck.
Yeah.
So, you know, we have...
It's something I'd expect him to be able to play pretty well.
Yeah, and this is the thing of, like, players just go, yeah, but I know how to play Zoroark, so I don't need to have to learn how to sequence Vika Ray to make sure I get the most out of my turn, to make sure I hit that Lily.
Yeah.
Not that I'm saying that most of these players couldn't, but it's a case of they don't have to spend the time testing. They can just go, yeah.
Exactly, yeah. And I mean, it's kind of what we were talking about a bit earlier, that like early on with new formats and stuff, you want to play safe, and that doesn't necessarily mean objectively safe. It means what you feel is safe sometimes, and Zoroark's just that case for a lot of people.
But at the same time, having walked around that hall this morning, there is some weird stuff.
Oh, that's good too.
There is some... I've looked at some of the lists that I've just like been going, interesting. This is going to be a really interesting... Like, I'm hoping we get to feature some of them on stream.
Hopefully.
There's always the acid test of do they last long enough in the tournament before, you know, like, okay, this is an interesting list, but you haven't
got
the record. You need to get like 3-0. We
yeah.
might feature you. So it's a big thing for us of trying to find interesting decks in this field, and there are a lot of people trying to break this format.
One interesting deck that I will point out just while we're talking on the subject is some people have been talking about the new Quagsire as well, combined with Lapras.
Yeah.
And Volcanion, Prism Star, Aqua Patch, all that kind of combos. People are saying it as a good Shrine and Punishment matchup, but personally I think Volcanion Prism Star is a really underrated card. It is fantastic once you get it going. Some people are really hyping that one up.
But yeah, and there's also people going, well, how do we beat all the cards which feature, you know, like how do we beat Tools and Shrine at the same time? A lot of people have gone, oh, we'll play Field Blower. But I've also seen a large number of people in Lysander Labs in today, which is an interesting choice, because it's like, I mean, you kick the stadium and you turn off their tool. Sure, it's kind of, it's 2 in 1.
When you put it that way, it sounds like they do functionally the same thing, almost. But
the only issue is that the tool stays on, so if they then have another Shrine, their tools are back.
Yeah.
And that is an issue.
It does make me wonder what, like, I'd love to know, like, the decision process behind trying to play that over the Field Blower. Is it also maybe a Garbodor kind of thing, that you don't want to play too many items to try and avoid that?
It could well be. It's also... If you're not planning on playing any tools anyway, why not?
Yeah, that's true.
You don't need to play the Field Blower if you're not playing any tools, so you can just leave it there. Or at least if there's, like... And also, it depends on the list. I think the few people I've spoken to, Lysander Labs has gone into Zoroark decks, because you actually have a lot of one-offs and techs, and if you need your one-off weakness policy or something along those lines, you don't need Lysander Labs in that matchup.
Yeah.
Probably. I mean, you probably do now I think about it, because that's for both Shrine.
There's probably also, like, if they don't count the Lysander Labs, like, you get much more value out of it than a Field Blower if it's just staying in play for a couple of turns. Like, that can really probably swing a game for you.
Well, I guess it's probably a conversation players have had of like, well, if Field Blower counts are dropping, maybe tool counts also drop, because you don't need the extra copies. Maybe we can just get away with it.
Yeah. And you know what as well, like, pre-rotation when Floatstone was still going around, 1 Field Blower or 2 Field Blower was like really easy to justify in like a whole bunch of decks, because sometimes it'd just be like, oh, I'll take a KO on the active, I'll get rid of the Floatstone on the bench, so they have to promote something without free retreat, and they have to work harder next turn.
Yeah.
Right now it's like, because Floatstone's gone, it feels like
it's
harder to justify.
I really miss that card.
Yeah.
I have to think so much harder about my decisions, like 3 or 4 turns ahead of going, well, I need to take this KO with this. Oh. I can't Floatstone into it.
Guzma is a lot harder to play.
Yeah, it becomes a lot more technical of actually planning a few turns in advance or playing more switch cards.
Yeah.
And so I think the players are starting to set up now. So we shouldn't be too long, guys. Sorry about the little delay.
It does look like they're shuffling up, yeah.
Yep. So, you know, must be nerve-wracking coming into a new format and sitting down in your first regional of the tournament against the world champion.
Not just against the world champion, but against the world champion on stream.
Yeah,
we have 2 different factors going in
this is a baptism by fire for this.
Absolutely, this is only one way to learn.
Yeah. But you know, hopefully we get a really interesting game out of this. We know what Robin's playing. We've been given the list, but we're still waiting on the other list. But as soon as we know, we can let you know. So we're gonna be underway soon. We're more or less on time. You know, only about 50 minutes delay, which is not too bad.
It's still starting pretty early.
And I think they're just getting ready to shuffle themselves up.
It looks like they are getting close to starting the game.
Yeah, so we should also we are going to be doing pack giveaways, so some code giveaways throughout the stream. So
look forward to that.
At some time we'll probably crack open a pack, maybe live. Why not? and then we'll be giving the code away in chat. So stick around between rounds for your chance to win some stuff. I think we have a couple of packs from every Sun and Moon on set.
Something like that, yeah.
So we can work our way through the formats and see what we get.
There's 9 Sun and Moon on sets, and there's 9 rounds of Swiss, so it's pretty convenient math.
Yeah, so we can do at least one a round. So do we have the deck list yet? No? Cool. So we can wait for this. But it looks like the players are more or less ready to go. I think the prizes might even be out as well. Prize cam is one of my favourite things on stream.
I'm a big fan of prize cams. Yeah.
It makes kind of working out what the game state's going to be.
The best thing about prize cam is Robin can't actually play town map now to ruin the prize cam. So it always works.
The conversations we've had about town map. That was one of the conversations I had with him. It lasted about 45 minutes. Him, Tord, Philip, Nico, and town map. And I was just sat in the corner going, I have no idea why this is such a significant card.
Do you know, I was on board with it too. Like, I think people underrate it as like a consistency booster. Like, if you've no draw supporter in your hand and then you take a KO, you can be like, oh, that's okay, I'll just take Cynthia or Sycamore off my prizes because you can see what it is. Like, I think people underrate that aspect of it a lot.
Yeah, it's one of those really nice cards to be able to just plan. Well, again,
like, I never have the space for it. Like,
no, but the good players have extra information to plan that turn further.
Yeah, absolutely.
And they can wind up being like 4 or 5 turns ahead of you mentally at certain stages, which just means that you can sit down going, I do this, and like, yeah, I know, and I just do this and I win. It's fine.
So because it's so technical like that, it makes sense with Zoroark decks as well.
Yeah, exactly. So we have Robin Schulz, current world champion, and Julius Kerkis coming over from Finland. So again, I love this about regionals. People travel from all over Europe.
Yeah, you get people from everywhere.
It's actually one of the nice things about Frankfurt is it's actually super easy to get to.
Yeah, I found that too actually.
But no, so Julius is they're getting ready. I think he has an Ampharos next to his deck box as a little mascot on the table for you.
Turtwig?
Oh, it might be a Turtwig.
I'm not quite sure, but I'm going with Turtwig.
Chat can probably tell better than I can. But I think it's a Turtwig. Now I think, look at it. So it should be really an interesting game. I'm looking forward to seeing what the matchup is.
Yeah. Zoroark playing Torterra. They may have the Turtwig is any sign.
So we have Zoroark. We know what Zoroark is capable of doing. But it does have bad matchups. It does have good matchups. And
what do you think Robin would like potentially not want to face with looking at his deck right there?
Well, his list is exactly what you think these guys would be playing on this kind of day.
Oh, completely.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, this is so. Let's make the reveal of what this deck is. It's a Zoro Control.
Yeah. And I just, before we continue, just want to point out he's not playing Town Map, but he has got one Gladian in there, which is kind of Town Map.
He's still going to look at those prize cards.
Still needs that info.
Yeah. This is a Zoro Control. It's straight Zoroark attacking.
Yeah.
There's nothing fancy. He's looking to take 2 hits. It's not even, there's no bans or anything along those lines. He's aiming to trade the 2-hit knockout war. He's also playing Champions Festival.
Another popular shrine counter as well.
I don't think the particular copy he's playing is particularly popular because he is apparently playing his Champions copy.
Maybe he's just playing it to show off. You never know. Like.
Yeah. So hopefully we'll be able to. Well, you would, right?
Oh, absolutely. I would.
You would definitely do that for the mental advantage. You sit down and going, Champions Festival?
Yeah, the mind game.
That's my one. Okay, I didn't buy this. This is mine. So we're in this really nice situation where he's got Zoro Control, and we'll find out what he's up against. I think they're just doing the coin flip now.
Yeah.
I think we can go to prize cam as well.
Have we got our other list?
We do indeed. So it's Zoroark with Sneasels.
Ooh, that's cool.
So it's Zoroark with a 2/1 Weavile line.
Okay.
So he's really looking to aim to basically take out the Zoroarks. This could actually be a really interesting game.
Weavile could potentially get up to a decent amount of damage in this game as well.
Mm-hmm. But a big issue for him is he's only playing Special Energy. And there are multiple copies of Enhanced Hammer, Plumeria, Crushing Hammer.
Yeah, every attachment he makes is going to have to count.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And it'll be interesting to see how quickly he cottons on to.
Yeah,
there's going to be some issues. I really like his sleeves.
Oh, I do. It's Hiker, isn't it? Yeah, that's Hiker.
Yeah, that's really cool.
And Marowak. I'm a fan of those. I like a lot of the Japanese art sleeves as well.
Yeah, they are really nice. So I think we're more or less underway. We're just moving the.
He placed his prize cards 2 times. Yeah,
he has prize cards twice. It's quite easily done, but hopefully we can get there before they turn it over.
Do you know what? We were doing a mock setup as well, just to test the stream was looking good, and I also did exactly the same thing where I placed 12 prize cards.
Well, so
easy to do.
As an insight from players at home, the prize cards are sat kind of between two tables, and depending on which side of the table you're on, you're either on the natural side you put your prize cards, or unfortunately have to go on the other one. And yeah, it's kind of tricky to do.
You might see that a few times.
Yeah, it's easily done. And there's also so we're more or less, I think, ready to go. I think they're waiting for the official round timer to start.
Robin's prizes don't look that bad. He has got his 1 copy of Max Potion, and that isn't stuck in the prizes. But other than that,
he does have 2 copies of the Nest also. Finding the early Zoroark could be an issue.
That's true.
But at the same time, he doesn't need too many to get going.
I am seeing a fan club in the list as well, so
yeah,
not the end of the world.
That's actually an interesting point. So it looks like Robin's gone, instead of the Apricot Maker ball search strategy, Robin's instead going for the fan club, stick to the supporters. Let's go from there.
I think that might also be because he's just playing Zoroark as like his main attacker. You know, you see like Zoroark with like a Lycanroc or a Gillespot or whatever. They often play like, people are starting with like Great Ball, Timer Ball is also a thing, and then Apricot Maker might become, you know, something you think about. But with Bridget rotating out, that actually hurt a lot of those decks, I think. And so once you come back to like Zoroark with just Zoroark on its own and some Slugmas, it's a lot easier to set up than necessarily like Zoroark or Zoroark.
Yeah. Well, so this is it's a really big issue for a lot of these things. Finding engines that function again.
Yeah.
You know, we were kind of weirdly lucky with having access to Bridget for basically any deck that needed to evolve, and Brooklet Hill for Buzzwole. We still have Brooklet, but for everyone else, they're going, but I have so many Pokemon I want to play turn 1. How do I get to them now? Yeah, we even see things like Great Ball cropping up in lists because
I'm a big fan of the Great Ball.
See, I'm 50-50. It feels a lot like an elixir, where if you're a good player, you want to be winning because you outplayed your opponent, not because you don't want to lose because you missed a Great Ball.
That's true, but the flip side of it as well is that people play Great Ball over Timer Ball a lot, and Timer Ball again is something that you can miss. It's something that can only search for evolutions. Great Ball can grab basically everything else.
Yeah.
And like if you've got a Great Ball and a Nest Ball in your hand, and you play the Great Ball first, and you pick a basic, you can Nest Ball for a different basic. So I think it's kind of versatile.
Yeah, it's a nice way of doing it, and that's actually one of the reasons why I kind of like the Apricot Maker engine occasionally.
Yeah.
Of none of the cards that you play are actually dead at any point in the game. But you do occasionally run into issues with things like playing the high support accounts is the other way of doing it. So you have like high copies of Lily, high copies of Cynthia. This is not really what Robin is doing, but then Robin doesn't need too many cards. His plan, especially this kind of matchup, is genuinely just go, I just deny your energy and then declare attacks for a few turns and I win, right?
That's basically what he's trying to do.
You know, I think he has enough ways of removing energy that he maybe has to take a couple of knockouts.
I think he has almost every way of removing energy.
One half decent Skull Grunt could be pretty painful for Julius.
It's a really risky card, isn't it, Skull Grunt?
It is.
Especially you kind of just gotta, I think a lot of people as well when they're playing, he might be thinking people play Lily for 8, or they get up to big hand sizes with Zoroark if people aren't judging them, and he's just sitting there their hand's 10 cards. Skull Grunt's gonna hit something.
Yeah, it's a big issue of against Zoroark. They only make 1 attachment a turn. As soon as they see the first E-Hammer, the Zoroark players should be going 1 attachment. Not throwing multiples down because you're going to get caught. But you can't do that if Skull Grunt's in. You know Skull Grunt exists. You're just going to go, no. You can't even hold them. You have to do. You have to win the deck. They're the only place they're safe.
It's scary to play against. Yeah.
And also one of the DCs already for both players is actually prized. That's one less energy for Robin to have to get rid of. So,
that's true.
It could be a really interesting matchup. Apparently, there's still a few announcements going on in the hall. I think probably to do getting things set up. Making sure I just saw them raise their hands, so it might be maybe getting their goodie bags or whatever.
The promos and the playmats that everybody gets for competing.
Yep. They're going to see. Oh, it's the Rayquaza. It is
on time.
I like that. Robin's just going. Here is the playmat. It's a Rayquaza.
Thanks, Robin. Yeah.
Nice. So this is something that I noticed is when you travel around to a lot of tournaments, you get a lot of playmats.
I have a drawer full of them.
So it looks like they're now more or less happy. I think they look pretty. Robin seemed pretty pleased with the Ray mat. He was like, "Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah,
it's a nice design.
It is quite a nice mat.
A few of the new designs actually have been outstanding.
The new Jirachi one for League Cups, that is fantastic.
It's probably one of my favourites. I also really like the Leafeon League Cup map as well from a couple of quarters back, and it looks like. Okay, that was like the who's going first, and I think it said I heard it looked like Robin was saying he was going first.
I think I might have seen a Gladion in his opening hand.
Well, at least he gets to go look at his prize cards.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, Gladion turn 1 is pretty good.
Well, he does have an Ultra Ball, so I think he's actually got a hand where he can thin it pretty aggressively, get down to the Lily, and draw. Especially because you realised first on his first search of the deck, he hasn't got 2 Nest Ball. He wants to be able to get through as much of his deck as possible quickly, so he can find the basics. Though, to be honest, he might be able to find a few turns where he can just poke away. Something that he's going to have to be careful of, obviously, as well, is we don't normally see a 2-1 line of Weavile in a Zoroark
No,
deck.
we don't. The 2-1's interesting as well, so that if you get both Sneasels on the board, you're still going to get Weavile next turn.
Yeah, and he's made sure that he can play into the heavy ability format that we're in. So decks outside of Zoroark are also super heavy ability. Most of them are playing Makago. A lot of them are playing Oranguru. There's probably a Lele on the board. Oh, there's 150 damage. Yeah,
We were talking about Ray Vika earlier. Ray has an ability, Vika Bolt has an ability, Lele, like you said, has an ability.
There's just abilities all over the place in this format. So Weavile is actually in a really strong place. Playing the Ultra Prism one as opposed to the I want to say Burning Shadows.
I think it was that one. It was a little while ago.
Burning Shadows one that spreads. I know at least one person's playing that today. But, there are some interesting decisions. So he's playing, I think that's... Okay, so he's actually labelled as art separately. Some players don't bother doing that. They'll just put it in one line. But he's playing a 3/3 Rockruff line. Playing the Forbidden Light Rockruff, so the more HP, versus the Corner, which is going to be... It can come up occasionally, but I guess with his low energy count, only playing units.
Well, I think as well the moment that Guzma got printed, Corner got bad.
Well, it's still one of those ones of you can still force people to Guzma when so you save that Rockruff.
That's true.
So you always save the Rockruff with the attack.
It can come in handy in weird situations, and I think I like to consider that a lot when I'm picking these Pokemon that evolve into my main Pokemon. It's like Bubble Froakie. I'm still convinced the Bubble was the best attack in that whole deck. Mm-hmm. That could win you games.
Exactly. Yeah, it's exactly that, because when you're optimizing your list, every single slot counts, regardless of what you think is the best thing. You have to go, okay, well, I'll just throw these basics in. It's but this one's technically better.
Yeah. And 70 HP is more than 60. So. Well,
it's a kind of big factor because you can't. I know you can still KO it, but you would need Beast Energy plus Diancie turn 1, which is super unlikely.
It's also if you open with a Rockruff and an energy,
and we're underway.
Drive it.
So we have the 2-0 starts. Robin straight into the Ultra
Robin
Ball.
is going first.
He's got the Crushing Hammer in hand. He's going to hold that because for his strategy, but also he doesn't want to give his opponent the information immediately. I'm playing something odd.
Well, the Ultra Ball's away Gladion turn 1, so there goes my plan.
Julius's face is already going, that's a Gladion in a Zoro deck. It's there's no town map, right? He's got to find a way.
Could play 1 Beast Ball. I like his thinking better.
And Robin, taking the time on the first search. A lot of players do it. You need to know what's prized.
Yeah,
you need to know what resources, especially in Zoroark decks where you're playing lots of one-offs. You need to know what resources you're working with.
Yeah, he is playing definitely a lot of one-offs.
Yeah, there's a Judge, a Plumeria, a Skullgrunt, a Fan Club.
Countercatcher is in there too.
Palpad, Max Potion, Champions Festival, Lysander's Lab, and the Gladion.
And the 1 copy of Weakness Policy, which might come in handy in this game.
Especially because there's not any Field Blower.
Yeah, not one. Which is something we're seeing few people do. And again, maybe this is why Lysander's Labs is starting, is some people are rating this right now, is that some people are picking up on tools like Weakness Policy and EXP Share. It's not a lot of people are playing Field Blower. These things are going to stick. Wishful Baton being another example.
Yeah, having the issue of no one's trying to get rid of the tools. No one's respecting the fact that these tools can be real strong. And you need to find a way of avoiding, committing too many tools. But then people are going, just cut the Field Blower. I need more space. These decks are tight. I'm trying to actually look at like what the standard kind of list would be here and what has been cut.
Well, Robin has just opened with the weakness policy and the double colorless energy, so I suppose if Julius can retreat and get an energy drive off, that wouldn't be that bad, but
yeah, but that becomes an awful lot more difficult without access to.
It is indeed, yeah.
Your float stones, and actually a big issue is he'd have to Guzma, and that means that you move that Zoro too.
Yeah,
it's a tricky format.
So attaching to the active makes sense.
Yeah, so we have an awful lot of searches going on early. The Nest Ball, a lot of players playing high copies of Nest Ball now.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's the quickest and easiest way of setting up.
It's not quite Bridget, but it's good enough right now.
And it's also kind of nice because it leaves your supporter for turn open. You know, he's playing a copy of Judge. He's playing a copy of Mallow. He's also playing. So he's cut the Mikago line that a lot of Zoroark players are playing. So he has to rely on the Mallow to be able to draw the combo pieces that he needs.
Yeah.
But that uses the support for turn, whereas I guess Robin's just going to be basically picking up the card he wants
and putting it straight in.
Like, you know, he's going to be going, you have a big hand. I'll skull grunt that. Let's put it on top. Let's go.
Yeah, and again, this is
we
something that
do see a Mallow. I think
games.
that was a Mallow, right? That
is a Mallow.
That's
yes.
a Nest Ball.
Turn 1, not necessarily when you want to play a Mallow, but it does get you out of a dead hand.
Yeah, that's not an ideal start, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Having to kind of find your draw supporter and an option for next turn. You know, normally when you have in this board state, you'd probably be looking for something like a Zoroark, and then your draw supporter, because you can get your Zoroark out, establish that early, and then worry about drawing into stuff. So he puts the 2 cards on top of the deck. Just wants to make sure they're in the right order.
Always important. Yep.
Very helpful. And it looks like he's got the DCE. He's debating attaching it. Could go onto the Lycan Rock to just kind of start threatening things like Dangerous Rogue, Claw Slash.
Yeah.
And you know, see basically where the game's going to take us from here.
But as we did mention, Robin does play 3 Enhanced Hammer and some Crushing Hammers as well, so we could see a pretty big punish.
I think one of them's coming down. Oh, why not?
He's going for it, yeah.
He was like, why not? Let's go. That is a Tails.
Yeah, I believe that was the one.
So these are
weird looking designs are always the ones on these official Pokemon dice.
Yeah, these are the ones from the Professor store. They're actually really nice dice.
They do look great.
But the weird logo is a 1. So.
Well, no matter that he missed, I mean, he can always trade into an Enhanced Hammer, I'm sure. He's got a Cynthia in there too,
He'll find something. He's got another Ultra Ball, so he can get his second Zoroark if he wants one. He's got the Fan Club, but he's just going to go, no, I'll just draw the cards.
Yeah, why not?
This turn he's already taking a KO. He knows that if he can take away that energy on the Lycan, on the Rockruff, he's safe for a turn.
Absolutely.
There's basically no damage coming down from Julius, unless he manages to suddenly flood the whole bench. That's not too bad. And a Judge, so even the Mallow hasn't helped.
A wasted Mallow, unfortunately. Judge is something that we're seeing a couple players play, and it makes a lot of sense in Zoroark because you can always just judge yourself into 4 cards and then just trade straight out of it.
It's a tricky card to play because a lot of people will complain about N at the end of the last format, especially so the interview Robin gave of you just Garbotox an N and you win, and people will complain that it's an unbalanced card.
With Garbotoxin, it did feel
with the combination of the two, it kind of sucks to play against. But with Judge, they can do it turn 1 and you get a 4-card hand to work with.
Yep.
And people are like, but they have to do it too. It's like, but they probably had their first turn where they did stuff and then went, I'll just finish on a Judge.
If you've got if you decided to play Judge in your deck, you probably have a way to get out of it as well. Like, it's the kind of thing that in testing, if you were playing Judge and you were just messing with your own hand too much, you'd probably just cut the Judge.
Yep. So he has got the E-Hammer and he has
excellent turn 2 for Robin here.
He has extra energy for whenever the first Zoroark is knocked out. That could be a few turns away.
He could attach it if he wants, if he's thinking his opponent is also playing a Skull Grunt, but probably wouldn't be worried
about that. There's probably not too many copies of that in the hull.
Yeah.
Just trades a couple of times. He's got the second E-Hammer in hand as well, so any attachment that is made is going to be immediately just kicked. Mm-hmm. So he still draws into the Zoroark at least.
And it leaves Julius with just 2 double colorless energy in his whole deck now because one of them's also in his prize cards.
Yep.
So, and without special charge and puzzle of time these days, that's a much worse position to be in.
Yeah, there's basically no way of recovering these. So he's got the unit energy in hand. and he's got Ultra Balling away the other Zoroark and the one of Weavile. Robin probably looking at this, asking a few questions of, okay, so there's a Weavile in this Zoroark.
How many things do you have in this deck?
This is 60 cards, right? This is always an issue of you have to cut something.
Well, the thing is as well, when we see Weavile, we don't always see it in like really thick lines. It's normally like just a 1/1 or in this case a 2/1.
Yeah, it's one of those cards where they know they're always going to get value from it, so there's no real downside to including it, other than maybe cutting consistency from the list. So it's a kind of tricky thing to try and manage, but this is a thing that a lot of players are just going, yeah, we can make the most of Weavile.
So he had the Judge in hand, but he's deciding to grab the Syndicate instead. I like this a lot. He's basically just saying, I need to set up. Disrupting Robin's not going to do too much because he's already got 2 Zoroark on the field. Cynthia is definitely the right call here.
Yeah, at this point in the game, Judge is just like, nope, that's not enough.
Yeah.
You'll play it in a pinch, but you want to avoid it otherwise. He does draw into his DCEs.
He could evolve into the Lycanroc if he's really worried about a Judge play on the Rockruff, I guess, but at this point he might be even thinking Weavile might be the better way just to do bigger numbers, especially because that weakness policy is already sitting on the Zoroark. Yeah,
well, at this point, you're already expecting. He knows he's not playing any copies of Field Blower. This means that he knows it's always 2-hit KOs, and Robin will just hard play around the Dangerous Rogue. He's not going to bench that extra Pokemon unless he really needs it.
Yeah.
And looking at the board state, I don't think he's going to need it.
I think he'll be fine.
He's in this position now where he has enough stuff in play. He has the Oranguru for later on. So he can start recycling a lot of his one-offs. He has basically everything. He has 2 trades. He doesn't need to play into Dangerous Rogue.
I suppose in an ideal world he would like one of his Macargos now, but in this situation he doesn't need to put it in.
But then the temptation is to play that Macargo, but it's actually a big risk. With the copy of Devoured Field, with the choice bands in Julius's deck, playing just one Macargo leaves 4 abilities in play, and then Weavile takes a one-shot.
Yep.
And that can really tilt the price trade.
Julius doesn't even need the double coolest energy.
So,
which another one has just been discarded, so that is 1 left for him, unfortunately. It is going to have to be Weavile putting in a lot of work, I think, in the rest of this game.
Yeah. Yeah, there's only, I think, 5 copies of energy left for Julius.
Yeah.
He may be in the really bizarre situation where we don't actually see him declare an attack outside of that one attack he's already made, because I think he has another DC in hand, right? So I think he takes a knockout on this first one, which actually is quite important because it has got the DCE and it also has the one-off weakness policy. So
yeah, that wouldn't be a bad turn for him at all.
Yeah, if he can take the knockout on the Zoroark, he then eliminates the trickiest thing for his Lycanroc to KO. We see some Crushing Hammers, we see some Nest Balls.
We also see the Den in his hand, which is a counter for Mega Ray, or not Mega Ray, a counter for Regular Ray.
Yeah, for Rayquaza GX, hits it for weakness for a DCE. If you attach a tool card to it, I believe it takes the knockout. So it's a really cute tech because you don't have to play weird energy types to make it work.
You do need the electric type on your bench to get it going, but other than that, it's just a simple attach, choice bands, KO Ray. And that's pretty good. You want to play the Coco anyway in a lot of decks because not just for the spread, the free retreat is
but the free retreat's so nice right now. To have that pivot when the knockout is taken to go, okay, Coco goes active. I'll worry about what happens later.
So Robin has decided to go ahead with the Macargo. He probably isn't fearing Dangerous Rogue too much right now because that Rockruff has no energy on it, so he knows it's not coming down next turn. And if the Zoroark gets KO'd, Robin will still be left with 3 bench Pokemon and a fresh Zoroark in the active.
And I actually really like this line from Robin. He's going, look, this is the way that we never lose to the Lycanroc. If I keep this particular Zoroark around, the weakness policy is super big for me. So I'm just not worry about it. And the other thing he's done is, he can set up to not evolve if he doesn't want to for a few turns. He can hold the Macargo until he's like, okay, I really need to see something now. Maybe one of the other abilities gets removed from the board first.
Yeah, that's true. Now, Julius does have the Lycanroc in his hand, so I guess he could use it to pull up the weakness policy one in and then try and go for a KO on it. He would still need a lot of cards and to hit that last DC.
But I think he already had the DC. Yeah, the DC is already in his hand. So he's hitting for 100 here, and it's not quite enough. He'd need the choice band as well. But if he can get to the choice band this turn, Bloodthirsty Eyes out the benched Zoroark, he at least gets one option. However, at this point, I think Robin would then just quite happily go Macargo, E-Hammer, go away, energy, please.
It might not swing the game, but it's a line of play he could.
Yeah, this is this is the line you have to take. You know,
and he's going for it as well.
It's one of those things when you know you're behind in board state, regardless of the situation, you have to make these slightly like lower odds plays because you're already losing.
Yeah.
If the play doesn't come off, you don't lose harder. That's not how this game works.
There's definitely situations where you have to go high risk, high reward.
Yeah, like you don't lose any worse. So at this point, he's just going, okay, right, choice band, please. There are 3 in his deck. There's 1 prized, but you know there are still 2 potential outs for him. He's already gone through quite a number of cards. I think he still has his trade available. He didn't have it in his in that hand because I think he would have just thrown it down as a.
I imagine he would have immediately.
No, this is mine. Please don't make me. Let's not mess around here. Oh no, he did get it. There we go. This is why I commentate, don't play. So he's considering not. Like maybe he traded earlier and I missed it.
Well, it is 130. It isn't. He probably did trade, I guess, at the start of his turn. It might not have gotten him anything too significant though.
Yeah, and takes the knockout, which is actually a really big swing because there goes weakness policy.
Yeah, and there comes the DCE off the prizes for him as well.
So this is really important because he just needs to keep seeing stuff.
Yeah. One thing he could even think of is he could just start using energy drive if he really has to and he really just desperately wants to get damage on the board. Nothing in Robin's deck can actually take the 1-hit KO on the Lele anyway. This
is true. Robin's deck is not playing. He's playing 1 choice band, two choice band as damage modifiers. He's not playing any devoured field. He's not playing any Kukui, which means that his actual reach as a deck is slightly less than some of the Zoroark decks. But he's gone. Well, Zoroark always worked with 2-hit KOs. Just because it can take 1-hit KOs, it doesn't mean it has to. Like it's historically, you combo it with things like Acerola, with your max potions. You just trade the 2-hit KOs. You still win. It just takes longer.
Yeah.
And
it's working so far. I mean, like a big part of this was Control, and he is constantly getting rid of energies on the board.
Well, this DCE is, they're running out very quickly for Julius, and this is actually one he can take potentially via knockout. If he can take the knockout this turn, he'll just do so, and then immediately get to remove another DCE and the Zoroark this time. That'll be 2 Zoroarks in the discard for Julius as well, because we saw him discard 1 earlier on for an Ultra Ball. So he's running just the aim of the game for Robin is running out of resources and then not just sit here declaring Riot as beating for a few turns and
that's going to be the aim of basically every matchup he plays today, I imagine.
I think the Vika Vault matchup they probably had to play a little bit more aggressively.
Then you've got the Den in that one as well. It was a theme in a lot of mill decks as well, and like stall decks and stuff like this. Oh, he's playing a Skullgrunt. I have to interrupt because
that's huge.
A high value Skullgrunt that we're seeing right here.
So he hits 2 energy on
takes
the
DCE, then takes the knockout. That's all the DCE gone. He knows Julius has a unit energy and the entire rest of the contents of his hand. All great information.
There's only 3 abilities in play for him, so the Weavile's not a threat.
I love that he filled his bench with the resource management Orangaroo as well, just to. That Weavile's not going to do any damage.
They refer to this as broken monkey because it's like we just don't lose, right? Especially now, there's no handy working format, which means you can actually never deck out if you play it.
Oh yeah,
you just sit there every turn, just go put them back, and again. Oh look, my deck's got bigger. But the Skullgrunt, not something we saw too often last season. But look at your opponent's hand, discard 2 energies that you find. The format's full of special energy.
And we were mentioning high risk, high reward a little earlier on. But when you see your opponent with a big hand and you think, you know what, sure, let's go for this. It could do nothing for our turn, but it could also do that.
He draws into the next unit energy, so there's 2 unit energy in hand, so at least he can keep streaming energy attachments, even though he's already gone through quite a few. But it's a big issue of having to kind of recover these cards now.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, he's now having to go, okay, I have exactly 3 unit energy left. That's all I have to work with this game.
And if he absolutely has to, Julius is not actually playing one of the resource management Orangaroos himself, so when things hit his discard pile, they're just gone.
Yeah, they are.
Aside from the 1 pal pad. But.
Yeah, it's going to be a really tricky game for him to navigate now because all Robin has to do is find a Guzma, and he has Mikago and Zoroark, so I think he even has it in hand. Like if he finds the Guzma, he just takes out the Sneasel.
We've got about 33 minutes left in this round. If you were Julius, would you consider scooping here and trying a different strategy next game? Or
it's very tricky to say because you know that this game is an uphill battle, but you also know that you've now seen that he's playing some multiple E-Hammer.
Yeah, revealing the Skull Grunt as well as
some information. Like, mentally, you have to kind of consider, this just seems really unfavourable. Sometimes you do get those matchups where you just don't have too many options. But yeah, you have these kind of checking. I think we do see the power pad for the Ace Roller. I guess he's worked out that Robin's basically aiming for 2 hits to exchange 2-hit knockouts instead.
And if he can get some chip damage onto the Zoroark and Robin somehow misses his own Acerola. I do like that Robin got the Zorua on the bench though, so Acerola now is just a very simple play where you just heal the active and promote exactly the same Pokemon again.
Well, this is one of those things, we call it Zoro Control, but if you look at the board state, this is a super kind of controlled board. Yeah. Robin has put the pieces together in such a way that there's not too many abilities. There's Acerola out. There's like everything is set up in a position to go, it's fine, I'll just draw.
And on top of that, with Macargo, he can just get literally whatever he wants next turn.
It's actually a huge part of the format right now. The Macargo gives you access to consistency that doesn't exist in any other way. You know, we have fewer draw supporters that let you thin your deck, and now you can just go, okay, I need Choice Band. I have an Oranguru and 2 cards in hand. I will get Choice Band.
And you know what? I think it's like a really good card for a competitive game as well. It makes the player have to be much better at their own decision makings and stuff like that. It brings an awful lot of skill into it.
It's actually, so this format, most people, I've heard a few people complain that it's basically if you go first, you're heavily favoured. And that's true to an extent in some matchups. But the extra decisions that Macargo introduces means that top players are in a fantastic situation where they can kind of control the flow of the game down to minute detail.
Yeah.
Occasionally, like they'll Macargo go, okay, well, I'm not even going to put this. Like, I don't even want to draw this turn. I'm just going to put it on top because I know next turn, 1 turn in the future, this is all I need to win.
Speaking of Macargo, I believe he's going to use it here just to flip tails on a Crushing Hammer, but then it doesn't matter. He's just going to grab an Enhanced Hammer out of his deck and go with that.
I was surprised that you see Robbie Shook go, I can do it anyway. Macargo smoothing over the cracks is the way people have phrased it, with the ability of all these decks, picking out the one-offs. Buzz Shrine makes excellent use of it, finding things like Beast Energy super early, and the Yancy, the cards that you can only play ones of. It's like, okay, I'll just pick it out of my deck and play it when I need it. And
like I was saying earlier about like people playing like thin lines of Weavile, like 1/1, Macargo is how you get those things out more consistently.
Yeah. So he's just like, sorry, the Crushing Hammer didn't work, but I found this other hammer. It's better, apparently. let's just get rid of your energy. Julius is going, oh dear. Yeah. And we might even see the attachment onto the Guru. Yeah, I like this because he knows that what he can actually do is he can Acerola the Zoroark, go into the Oranguru, resource management back to the E-Hammers.
Ah, yeah.
And then just go, I'm just going to declare E-Hammer until you lose.
That's a little cruel. Yeah, you're right.
But this is how these decks work. Like, there we go.
That's exactly what he's doing.
Just retreating in, going, I'm just going to resource management, get my E-Hammers and some extra TCEs. Let's just go.
And the worst thing that could happen, I guess, here is like an energy... I don't think... He can't even energy drive because I think Julius is completely out of DCE.
There's no DCEs left. So he's stuck at 1 attachment a turn, and you know now that Robin's game plan is resource management, put some hammers back, Macargo, put a hammer on top, draw it, kick off whatever energy. And he always needs 2 attachments to do anything other than outside of Weavile, but Weavile doesn't do enough.
And with just...
and you just still see him just going, I'll just gotta put it on this Lycanroc. I gotta hope that you miss.
It's all he can do at this point.
Yeah, I think this game is basically Robin's just gone, I think you've got no energy left. I think I just saw in the chat someone saying, does he play the full 4 Crushing? He doesn't. I don't think.
It is 3 Enhanced Hammer and 2 Crushing.
How he's arrived at this decision is, I think, a question I'd love to be able to ask him.
Yeah.
That's a bizarre split. Like, you've gone higher on the E-Hammer, that I get. It's more consistent, and there's a lot of special energy.
I think it's more that he put the 3 E-Hammer in and was like, this isn't enough. I want the 2 Crushing as well.
Well, there's enough matchups where kicking the basic energy is actually a really big deal too. And he's playing the Plumeria. Unlike the Flagrant, which can only hit the active, Plumeria you have to discard 2, but you get to reach to the bench.
It is a very high cost on playing Plumeria though. Discarding 2 from your hand with a supporter is not all the way.
And he actually draws it.
Speaking of Plumeria. I think in this position he can afford to get rid of 2 things in his hand if he really wants to.
Well, he's just going to Macargo.
Of course. What am I saying? Much easier. He might even trade away the Plumeria and then just resource management back in because the deck can just do things like this. And once all of Julius's energy gone, Robin can just go back to declaring riotous beating, and the game's going to be his.
You can just choose an attack at that point and just go, this is the attack I shall declare for a few turns, off we go. They have a kind of position where I think Julius really could save the time and just pick up the cards and just go on. Yeah. You know that this lock is in.
I'm not quite sure how many unit energy he actually has left, but he might only.
I think it's 1.
If it is 1,
why continue?
He can't even declare Lycanroc's GX attack anymore, unfortunately. And he's going to pick off the Sneasel.
He's even taking out the Sneasel, but I think he's just like, no, I'm playing the world champion on stream. I want to get the most from this experience.
Robin did not come here to play today, and Julius is just going to scoop.
Yeah, at this point you go, okay, that was the only way I attacked for 1 energy. They're all gone, let's go to game 2. And this is the kind of matchup I think Robin's kind of hoping to see today. He knows Zoroark is one of the more popular archetypes in Europe, always, and he knows that most of the lists are kind of in positions where they're playing a handful of basic energy. Like the Lycanrocs are playing, I think, 4 fighting energy now. And 4 DCE, and he knows that really with the combination of removal cards he's got, he can almost always remove all of the energy. Between the things like Plumeria to get rid of the basic energies and the E-hammers, it's going to be tough for people to even attack him today.
I guess a good way to counter Robin's deck will be to play your own copy of Resource Management Orangaroo. But even then, it's a very slow way of dealing with it.
And this is the thing with these players, is they'll spot that, okay, the Zoroark deck's just cut Orangaroo. And trust, like one of the big conversations we've had is the Orangaroo is, if you're playing it in a Zoroark deck and your opponent isn't, you probably win.
Yeah.
Because you can just never run out of resources. Your opponent will eventually.
Especially because you can just shuffle in back 2 Acerola, and that can always be a huge part of the Zoroark error.
So we see that it is basically, as the card scans are showing, it's basically Lycanroc versus E-Hammer in this game of... Can Robin make sure he can get to his energy denial before anything really happens from Julius' side?
I mean, on paper, it isn't completely impossible, Julius, of course. He could just get a Lycanroc set up. He could just start declaring Claw Slash. And if Robin flips tails on some crushings, happens to miss his Z-hammers, even with Macargo.
It
does feel like
he'll find a way. It's Julius is basically hoping for prize the E-hammer splits.
I think he needs a little bit of luck to help him out here. Robin would need a sort of poor setup, I think.
But one of the things we always see with Zoroark decks, they were saying that hand doesn't look fantastic for Robin, is they're pretty self-consistent in terms of
he's got
things. The good guy Robin going, the viewers need to see these. Let's give the viewers a show. What have we got?
We went to all this effort of installing the prize card. Looks like Skullgun's surprised, unfortunately. So
Julius gets to start. He gets to start the Rockruff. That's actually a really big deal going first for Julius in this game, because it means that if Robin doesn't have an energy denial turn 1, he gets the extra attachment in straight away, and that can be a really big deal.
And turn 1 is when he's least likely to have that energy denial as well. So I think if you are Julius, you just got to go for it. You just got to attach a unit or a DCE. Well, unit preferably to this Rockruff, because a DCE onto it means energy drive will just KO it back.
And straight away we see the Ultra Ball from Julius going through, searching his deck, doing the same thing that Robin did in the first game, going, okay, so what have I prized? He's not going to be too concerned. The 2 Ultra Balls actually a kind of annoying thing to prize. Could slow down his setup.
He's playing a decent amount of ball cards. We do see 3 Great Ball on that list, and 4 Nest Ball as well.
So it's not the end of the world, but it's probably his most consistent way of setting up. It looks like he must already have a draw supporter in hand, because he's just going to attach Cynthia.
The DC, well, Robin does have DCE in hand, so I think we're just going to see an energy drive if he doesn't retreat this one.
Yeah, I think he's just basically going, well, is Robin really going to go aggressive with this Lele? But basically making that attachment, that's just helping Robin's game plan.
Well, KOing the Rockruff is also a way to get, it's not an enhanced hammer way of getting rid of the energy, but it still gets it in the discard pile. So
so Robin doesn't care how energy winds up there. He's just, no, we're not playing them.
As long as it's not on the board. That's all he cares about.
And we'll see. So Robin was looking at his hand. I think I saw like 2 DCE and Nest Ball and not a lot else.
Yeah.
But he's probably going, I can take a knockout. But maybe I get something good off my prize cards.
And Julius just does pass the turn, and I think that's
DCE.
Yeah, there's the DC on the left.
There's a Nest Ball.
He's going to play that.
But I don't see a draw supporter in hand for Robin. He does have the Ace of Roller, so something he can, if push comes to shove, is that should Julius attack into the Lele, pick it up, put it down, get a draw support, he'll find a way out.
Yeah.
Having a nice deep search through the deck. And
Julius isn't going to do too much to disrupt at least the Lele. I mean, I guess worst case scenario, he guzmas up the Zorua and takes KO on that.
Well, so if in theory, if you just manage to find a way of hitting a full bench as Zoroark in a choice band in a devoured field,
that's what in theory.
It could happen, but now I think about the number of cards that would require, and I'm not so sure anymore.
Yeah, do you know, I didn't really think that sentence through.
Yeah, it was, we could. So Robin's just gonna take the Zorua and kind of go, okay, well, I can take a prize. Maybe there's something in my prize cards I need. Maybe we can start working from there. I didn't see if you just drew into a way of evolving either of his Pokemon. I know
he's got a Lycanroc, but
so he's really hoping that this Rockruff survives, but nope.
Well, there's another one, but
and he has the attachment for it again.
He does.
So he's just gonna choice band
and prey on this Lily.
That's a really big risk to take. He's probably going to be looking...
Especially, we have the knowledge of his 2 Ultra Ball being prized as well, so we know the odds of him hitting the Zoroark off that Lily for 3 are a little bit less.
Yeah.
But I think if he does hit it, the payoff's not that bad.
No, but it looks like he's missed it. He's already used his support for turn. I didn't see him draw a Great Ball.
Yeah,
or an Ultra Ball. Actually, something that really bothers me about Great Ball, there's no secret rare. There is for all the other ball search cards, but you have to play a reverse.
There is no secret rare Pokeball. There can't be, right?
This is true. Okay, for the other played ball search cards,
okay.
There is no secret rare Great Ball.
Wait, no secret rare Lure Ball, probably.
Who knows? There might be. And we see the little 50 poke come in, just kind of chipping away. And I'm just like, that's fine.
The max potion and everything.
Well, he has the DCEs, the burn. Like he drew loads of them at the start. He's just gonna go ahead, set himself up, and he got the Lily off the top deck. So he can start drawing a few cards, hoping he can basically combo through try and get to his Azuras.
Yeah, and he's got a Cynthia as well for next turn now.
I think I also see an E-Hammer in there, so his plan is...
Yeah, it's an E-Hammer.
Is there, he can start working towards it. It takes another knockout, and that's a second thing going.
2 prizes already up for Robin.
And it's 2 DCE
and 2 DCE and he's still got all his hammers left.
He hasn't had to commit anything.
Julius thinking about the Rockruff or the Lycanroc to try and maybe stall out.
Well, I can't remember. So Robin kind of used to being on stream. He does this thing where he has to slightly hold his hand forward. So he's like, guys, can you see, right? Julius kind of having to catch glimpses of cards every now and again. I see an energy. I see the Lycanroc. He might be thinking just to evolve to protect it. He's only playing 3, and one's gone, so he might be looking to go, okay, I need to protect at least one of these and hope he doesn't have a way of discarding the energy.
Well, from his perspective, I don't think a unit energy attached to Rockruff and passes isn't actually necessarily a bad play. I mean, maybe he'd rather just get off a Rise beating on this Lele, but like you said earlier, Robin still has that enhanced armor just in his hand, and it's all starting to exactly play out exactly as Robin plans.
So he does evolve. I think
by attaching the unit, it means he can't actually KO the Zorua here. But with the Judge, I think he's just really hoping that this sticks and he can start getting some claw slashes off.
Yeah, they're just really hoping against hope to just hit something, find a way of, Robin doesn't have a Zoroark in play. And if he doesn't get a Zoroark in play, he's stuck with a 4-card hand. Maybe he misses ways of denying energy and, kind of having to work from there.
Yeah, it is possible. And like we were mentioning earlier, high risk, high reward plays.
Yeah, it's a step you have to start taking. Especially when you're in a matchup where you're pretty unfavoured just by the fact that your opponent's playing a deck that takes all your energy off of you.
Well, he gets the Sneasel off it, which isn't too bad. I mean, it's not really doing much right now, but...
But I do see Oranguru, Zoroark, Macargo and Gladion for Robin. So maybe as the first Great Ball of the day, and last card was the Zoroark that he needed. So he can at least evolve the active Zorua, protect it for a turn,
and get a trade off while he's at it.
And start kind of trying to draw out of this kind of funk that he's kind of stuck in at the moment. So, trading away the Acerola. He knows that really Robin's plan's not to start taking 2-hit knockouts until it's too late for him to do anything. So, trading away the Acerola is not necessarily a bad plan here. He also has the Power Pad, as we saw in the first game, to put it back.
He does have a Lycanroc in hand, but is he got a Rockruff at this point?
I didn't see. There's not him playing. I don't think there's.
Well, either way, Azuru on the bench isn't that bad.
Yeah. So there's only the one Rockruff left in deck. It wasn't prized, as we can see. It just has to pass the turn there. The Ultra Ball top deck for Robin is a big deal.
It is.
He's just going to go ahead and he has to work out what he wants to discard. He wants to work out what he wants his bench to look like. What's his ideal bench in this game? It probably involves a Zoroark, so he's going to go ahead and play that down.
That's always a good start.
That's a great place to start. But he's looking at a thing of, okay, what do I need this game? Do I need 2 Oranguru? Because he didn't go, he knows Julius didn't go aggressively into them last time.
Yeah.
Maybe I can get away with just benching the 1.
Well, he does also have the rescue stretches in the deck, so even if he does have to Ultra Ball or trade away these Pokemon, it's not the end of the world.
So he drew into another Ultra Ball into Guzma. So basically giving himself more options on, okay, so what can I get away with discarding? He maybe knows that there's nothing too important in his prizes, so he can get away with it. But I actually kind of like this as well, because right now, what's that Lycanroc going to do in response? Yeah. Not a lot.
And we did just see Julius as well trade away in Acerola, so Robin has that information. He knows that it's unlikely that this Lycanroc's getting healed.
Yeah, it's kind of... And I like that from Robin as well. He's got the cargo already. Why not? Let's just go ahead and set himself up. Guzma, chip damage into the Lycanroc. That makes it easy to finish off later. If Julius wants to make the attack, he's actually not taking a KO. There's no way of taking the KO on this Lele.
Yep.
And then Robin just KOs the Lycanroc. Another energy goes. A Lycanroc goes. It's going to look pretty tricky. So...
Yeah, I'm just thinking Claw Slash, even with, I believe Julius plays the Diancie Prism Star as well, even with Claw Slash and Diancie Prism Star and the choice bands.
You're 10 short.
You're 10 short.
Yeah, this is...
Actually, excuse me, there's 2 Professor Kukui in his list too, so he could pull off the most incredible turn.
That would be a big turn. But it could happen. It's another one of those ones, okay, so he needs this, and... okay, that's too many. But in theory, it's there.
Well, he's traded once already, so he's still got 1 at his disposal.
And he gets rid of the second Lycanroc, kind of accepting that I don't think he's ever going to... he knows he's going to struggle to set it up. He does have the Diancie. He does have the Choice Band.
Okay, that's 2 down.
No, it was a Rockruff. I thought it was the Diancie. Interesting decision to still bench the Rockruff there, having discarded the other Lycanroc. But he knows he's playing stretches. He's probably not looking to attack with it. It's more to kind of set up board states by kind of moving things around.
It gives him another out to a way to switch around Robin's board. Did Robin get rid of the Guzma in his hand from last turn?
Yes, he played it, right? Yes. So he's in this situation of...
Well, he could evolve him a Cargo and then simply pick out a Guzma from his deck if he
could
wants.
Indeed. Slugma, stuck in the active. One of the downsides of having to play a lot of these kind of support benched Pokemon, no Floatstone, they become a lot more awkward to move.
They really do, yeah.
Especially because my Cargo has, I think, a retreat cost of 3.
Yeah. Slugma even has a retreat cost of 2. You got to burn a DCE.
Yeah, so they're not something that you can just move out of the active. It'd be interesting to see what Robin decides to go for here. He has 2 choices. He could go for either the Enhanced Hammer, or he could go for the aggressive KO on it.
Yeah, he might actually just be content to sit behind this Magcargo even. I mean, there is always the risk that Julius could just attach a double colorless and get rid of it.
Yeah, I think he's probably
going to have to
take the KO. He knows that the Magcargo helps tech out a lot of his one-offs. Keeps him in a really good position. He's actually, I think, going for the Lily. Counting the outs in his hand, he's probably worked out that he's quite likely to draw the E-Hammers. I don't think he's played any of them yet, or any of the Crushings.
It also might just be future-proofing himself a bit. His hand right now is a single copy of Plumeria.
Yeah.
So if he takes the Guzma and then Julius retreats with retaliates with a Guzma up Magcargo and KOs it, Robin all of a sudden doesn't really have an out to get any more cards. So
yeah, he's making sure that at least he has a hand to work with.
When you're a game up and you've got 13 minutes left in the round, I think playing safe is completely fine.
Yeah. It is all about working out when you should be kind of going on the aggressive, when you can afford to be a little bit more patient.
And choice band the Magcargo.
It's just I want to draw 6 cards, and
Yeah, I don't disagree with that at all.
I can't put a floatstone on this anymore, so I guess I make it aggressive. We can threaten some combustion action for 80.
He doesn't know that he doesn't play fire energy. Like,
could be there. Unfortunately for Robin, I don't think he hit any of the cards he needed to deny the energy this turn.
No, not quite.
So,
unfortunately, he did have to get rid of the Plumeria. He's got a crushing hammer in his hand, though.
Okay, so I think he's still gonna nest ball, probably take another Zorua. Because it basically means that no matter what, he can probably get to another Zoroark next turn. And he's unfortunately going to have to be in a position to bench more abilities than last time, just because he hasn't run quite as nicely in the opening turns.
Weavile's hitting 150 right now. If Robin ever evolves that Zorua, it's 200. And then it's just a simple choice band or a Kukui or a Devourer Field away from a one-hit KO.
So I'm just thinking, there's another DCE, there's a Judge there for next turn.
He might want to attach this turn. He could even, like, if he really wants to, I guess, attach to the Lele again, if he just wants something that does a lot of energy, does a lot of damage, but...
well, so the nice thing about all of the stuff in Robin's deck is it attaches for exactly one attachment, which means you can almost always hold that attachment if you want to.
That's true.
It looks like he's still considering the Crushing Hammer of, like, do I wait? Because he knows that, really speaking, no matter what Julius takes the KO with the Lycanroc, he responds with either the Zoroark or the Lele, and the result there is 2 energy hit the discard pile simultaneously.
It's all about saving resources, and that's just the best way to do it, is that, like, it means he still has the Crushing Hammer after the Lycanroc leaves the board, and that he can still control Julius's board state from even that point onwards.
So, the Mallow, you mentioned earlier, Julius not opting to use the Macargo engine for the Zoroark list. Unfortunately, it means that he does limit his choices. He can't really take one of the supporters he'd like to use. And it also kind of means that it at least seems likely that the Zoroark is staying active this turn.
Yeah.
The attachment is probably going to have to go to that Zoroark, so he can take the KO, or he's just going to go to the bench and hope Robin can't find a way of getting to the bench Lycanroc.
One thing to note as well, that if Julius does KO the Macargo, which it seems likely he will here, it actually takes one ability off the board, so Weavile hits less damage as well, which Robin might even want that. Like,
yeah, there are some really fun games where they're kind of working around going, okay, I need to take this KO, but doing so means my Weavile is slightly less useful. So do I really want to take this KO now, or can I save the Macargo for later and take something else out?
And that's why people don't play 4/4 Weavile in everything.
Yeah, there's a lot of decisions you have to make throughout the course of the game. And one of these decisions is Julius discarding the Sneasel, getting the DCE, and just going for the knockout.
Yeah, it looks like that Mallow also got him a Cynthia, so he has some other things to do next turn.
Yeah. Cynthia's really the best draw support we have in format right now. Outside of turn 1 Lily, for a low hand size, is a really big deal. But it's now back to the old Zoroark versus Zoroark situation that we saw quite a few times.
Yeah. This might be the turn where Robin even plays his Crushing Hammer on the Lycanroc.
Well, so I think what Robin, like, an ideal turn would look like something of take the KO on the Lycanroc and knock off the energy off the Zoroark. Yeah.
If he can does he have a Guzma in his hand?
I don't think he did. He also threw that dice with some vigor across the table.
And he's gone for the active one, yeah.
Yeah. Because he knows that really he can maybe draw himself into the other way of getting rid of the benched. Not worried about hitting too much damage this turn. He's pretty happy to just kind of poke away. He doesn't. Yeah. He's in no rush. He's already won up. He's got 10 minutes left. He can just be like, I'll just do 60. That's cute.
He can probably safely enough bench one more Pokemon. I'm just thinking about playing around Ranger's Rogue here. So, but even poking that Zoroark for 60 puts it down to 150, which is decent enough math for his.
We do see in his hand, he's trading it away, but that is the Champions Festival, the copy you get for winning the World Championships.
And he traded into Enhanced Hammer. So
what a turn he's having. It's a big turn.
Yeah. And
the E-Hammer goes, pokes into the Zoroark.
And all about this resetting the board state back to square one for Julius. It's just going to be simple pokes from here on out and getting rid of energy, and with 8 minutes left to go, I imagine Robin's just going to take it nice and easy for the rest of this game.
Yeah, he's in full control now of kind of going, well, I'd like these cards.
Yeah.
I'd like you to not have any of these cards. that's going to happen, please.
And with removing that energy, it means he's not going to get Dangerous Rogue next turn for sure, so he can bench as many Pokemon as he likes.
Yep. And he knows that really that Zoroark, that Lycanroc on the bench is kind of easy pickings.
Yeah.
He's held the Acerola, so next turn, even if there is an attack into this active, he just Acerolas.
Again, he's got
he
the
trades
on the bench.
Acerolas, trades some more, and he just gets an awful lot of value out of these things.
Also puts the weakness policy on a brand new Zoroark as well. And the one weakness policy is really kind of... He's getting a lot of use out of it, at least.
So this is actually the same thing in the Zoroark list. You actually get a value of it on both the Zoroark and the Lycanroc, because the things like Delmai is running around in the Raidex.
We see it in Zoro Banette as well.
Yeah.
Put on the Banettes because it's weak to Dark. And...
Like, there's actually a lot of flexibility in the card in this format, because everything seems to be weak to everything else.
Yeah.
So the first trade is a Devoured Field, and I think it was a Pokemon, but I couldn't see which one. I know it was an Acerola. I thought it was a Lele Glance, but apparently not.
He is going to play the Acerola.
Of course, he wants to try and save as much of the board as he can. I don't think he has any of the supports in hand.
Yeah.
Just now debating what he promotes. He doesn't have the energy because there's an awful lot of them in the discard.
He might have a unit in his hand, I think, if I saw that correctly.
Mm-hmm. But I don't think he had the Weavile, and it's not doing enough anyway.
Yeah.
You don't really want to waste your single Weavile.
Just going to send up a sacrificial Rockruff in the end.
Yeah, this is sometimes the tricky place you have to make of, like, well, I guess I don't need this Rockruff anymore. So another Nest Ball for Robin. Now he's going for the Guru.
Yeah.
Because he knows that full well he can basically now set up the cargo, get the Guru kind of cycle bowing again, and it's kind of the end of it. And we see a Judge from Robin. Only just what he had in his hand, but he still kept the trade, so he's actually able to draw out of it pretty quickly.
Yeah, exactly. And he's setting himself up, like you were saying, with just a board state that just screams, I'm going to win this game.
Yeah, this is something that happens. If, like, when you are in the lead, you need to be building a board that doesn't help you win. It just means you don't ever lose.
And then you work from there.
Yeah, you build the board that's like, okay, right, I need exactly these things, no more, no less.
Yeah,
let's just work from this. So each player getting a hand of 4. It's the only real hand destruction we have in format outside of Marshadow.
Well, Julius drew into 3 energy, so...
Well, I don't want to alarm anyone, but the next prize card that Robin's taking is Skullburn.
That's a little scary.
And that could mean there's going to be an attachment. There's going to be a...
yep, and there it goes.
It could easily be an E-Hammer, Skullburn, 3 energy go in 1 turn.
Yeah. I mean, if you're Robin and you see your opponent and you judge your opponent into 4 cards, like, in your own head it might not make sense to play the Skullgrunt, but... I mean, from our position, it would be really cool if we did.
It's a great idea. What are the benefits of getting to see all the hands?
Exactly, yeah.
We did see, at some point last season, someone was playing the Gumshoes GX with the Peak ability, with Skullgrunts, to be able to look at hands and go, now I Skullgrunt?
I actually played that myself at a regional, but it took so much stress out of the card, you know? And stress out of the game in general. Hand knowledge is underrated.
There's a rescue stretcher putting back the Lycanroc. I think he's shuffling 3 back in. Is look what he's going for. Lycanroc has Zorua and the Rockruff. Or maybe no, that's a Sneasel. He's looking at all of the options and kind of considering what he wants.
Well, he has the DC in hand. The options he could take here are he could try and chip into the Zoroark, or he could just try and I guess try and put a unit energy on the Lycanroc, maybe go for a Claw Slash or a Dangerous Rogue, because Dangerous Rogue would look great now if he could get the energy down.
Yeah, he still has to commit the energy to board. He has no choice. Mm-hmm. Like, the only way he ever wins is taking prize cards, and that means playing energy, but that just means Robin just goes, no.
Yeah.
So I think what we're going to see here is, Robin's collecting the energy together, going, okay, what are the odds? Like, can I? Because, so what Robin, like, so the thought process here is really weird, because you saw Julius not playing many cards.
Yeah.
And you know that these decks play a lot of cards that you play immediately.
So you might think his hand is clogged
with something.
energy. Yeah.
So you kind of go, okay, well, maybe this is the right line.
It might also be like if he doesn't trade into a better supporter, and I don't know what supporter he'd rather play necessarily this turn. The only other one in his hand is a Guzma. I mean, he could go for the KO and the Lycan Rock if he's that worried about it, but I don't think he is.
No, I think he's probably saving those for his last 2 prize cards. We see a Crushing Hammer first.
So he might play it just for the sake of playing. And
so there's the Crushing Hammer coming down. He knows he's hitting. He could... it depends if he wants... Basically, the choice is to do Ace Roller. He already has the Zoroark, so we can actually evolve the bench Zoroark.
Yeah, Ace Roll is actually... technically a way better supporter to play this turn.
But he can also evolve the bench Zoroark, which is what he's going to do, retreat. So he saves this active.
That's true, yeah.
And then he could just Skull Grunt anyway, because he doesn't lose anything.
Yeah, absolutely.
This is probably not how Robin's thought process works. He probably isn't this kind of guy who goes, well, there's nothing to lose.
Yeah.
He probably has better reasoning for it.
And I didn't see that earlier, but yeah, he does have the other DCE in his hand. He's
in a really
completely fine to do that.
So this is, I think, exactly what we're going to see this turn. He's still weighing it up. Does he Guzma KO the Lycan Rock? Yeah, he's taking out the Sneasel. I like that.
Yeah.
It means everything left in Julius's deck is now 2 prize cards, 2 attachments, which basically means he can...
Yeah, and that Lycan Rock on the bench is still a big target. Like just to take the last 2 prize cards of a game at any point that he wants. And with 2 minutes to go as well, it's such a huge lead.
Yeah, like, the board state is super nice for Robin. 1-0 up already in the series. Big old hand side, 2 Zoroarks in play.
He's got Ultra Ball as well in his hand if he wants to get out of Cargo. Although I think actually it's in his discard pile and the other one's prized, so yeah, that's not a line of play you can take.
The Ace Roller, as much as it would have been nice for him, is the other remaining prize card.
Yeah.
So be interesting to see where Julius goes with this. He's just going to straight away play down the Great Ball, hoping to hit the other Zoroark.
Oh,
just again on the last card. That's clearly the trick to this.
See, Great Ball's not that bad.
Yeah.
I mean, at this point in the game as well, Julius's deck is probably pretty small. So.
And you know what's in there. He just played the Rescue Stretcher last turn.
Exactly.
He knows he's just filled his deck.
7 cards could be half his deck.
This is one of the things with Zoroark decks. They get to very thin hand sizes very quickly.
They do.
Actually, for something you have to be very conscious of not decking out.
Well, not if you play a Ranker.
Yeah.
But.
So, trying to work out where Julius's attachment is going to go. He must know that Robin... I don't think he's played any E-Hammer yet.
And he has so many unit energy in his hand, he must be a little bit upset about the Sneasel going down as well.
Having to attach 2 attachments to a Zoroark.
Well, if he does put 2 unit energies down on the Zoroark, technically he could use Trickster GX.
This is true.
I don't know what it gets him, but I just want to point it out that he could.
So now I think this is probably the turn where Robin was going to consider playing the Skullgrunt.
Yeah.
He knows full well that he can
Rescue Stretcher in his hand, so he can get that Cargo.
And
if he gets Cargo, he needs another... he's got another energy. Okay, so... Could have game in hand here. Let's see. 20, 40, 60, 90... 90 plus 90 is...
Yeah, it's 90. He has the Guzma. He can just Guzma out. A Lycan Rock, take the KO.
Is that correct math?
Yeah, so he had the Stretcher for the Cargo.
Yeah.
Puts the Guzma on top.
Yeah, he's got yeah, that's alright.
And there it is. 6 seconds left in the round. True professional, wasting no time. And that was a really interesting series. I actually really enjoyed that game.
Yeah, that was pretty good. And we got a great look
at that is time on the round.
Exactly.
Official.
We got a great look at everything Robin's deck was really capable of doing. He showed off basically pretty much all of these interesting Pokemon discard cards apart from Plumeria, but everything else got a moment in the spotlight.
Yeah, and this is something that I really enjoy seeing from these players: the decision making, the mapping out the turns, and being able to control a game like that is actually really difficult. Even with energy denial, you have to be able to work out, okay, what's the best thing I can do to make my board's position really good?
I think as well, there were loads of turns where Robin could have played a lot more aggressive. He could have gone for KOs and stuff, but he didn't. He sat behind Pokemon. He promoted Pokemon knowing that wouldn't get KO'd the next turn, and he just decided to sit back for a few turns and discard all the energy, then start poking. And that's definitely the optimal strategy you got to play if you're playing a deck list like this.
Yeah, no, it was a super interesting game. So before we have a quick break,